Hello, Jason here. Another book review for you guys. Today I'm talking about The Andromeda Strain by Michael Crichton. This is basically, it's like an outbreak of a disease kind of a book, which I was interested in reading something like this with, everything that's going on right now with being quarantined and everything. So I wanted to take some time and read a book like this. And I read The Stand a few years ago, so I didn't want to read that again. Although that book is amazing. But anyway, Michael Crichton. This is his first novel, or at least the first novel that he wrote as Michael Crichton. He had written a few novels, or published a few novels before this, under a pen name, John Lang, which I haven't read any of those, but I never read this one. I went through a Michael Crichton phase in about 10 years ago or whatever, after high school. Read a bunch of his stuff, Jurassic Park and the Congo and Sphere and all those, but I never read this one, and so finally got around to it, and I'll say I really enjoyed it. There were things about it I didn't like. I really didn't like the ending, which we'll get into once we get into like the summary section. But basically it's very technical science fiction. It's heavy on science. If you're into, and that can be a put off for a lot of people. It's very, like I said, it's very sciencey. There's a lot of very technical biology and lab tests and laboratory procedure stuff. Government confidentiality and things like that going on. So it can be dry for some people if you're not interested in that sort of stuff. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really well done. And Michael Crichton is a doctor. He knows his stuff. Like this, it was incredibly well researched, and it felt really real. Like really, like this is what would probably actually happen in this kind of a situation. It's not focused on the outbreak part of it though, which is something that I didn't expect. I was expecting it to be more like, like the movie Outbreak, where you got this disease that's spreading, and then everyone's like, oh no, what do we do? How do we stop this? And there's a bit of that, but mostly it's about this group of scientists in this secret laboratory trying to figure out what this disease is and how to stop it. So that's the basic sort of premise. Summary: there's this satellite in space that is orbiting Earth, and it's the purpose of the satellite is to try to find like evidence or whatever of like alien life forms, bacteria, things like that in our atmosphere. And something causes this satellite to crash, and it comes down in a little town in Arizona called Piedmont. Tiny little town, like 50 people live there. And then the government goes and tries to recover it, and when they get there, they find that everyone is dead. The whole town, every single person that lives there is dead, except for two. The scientists go and they find two survivors, and one of them is like this old dude who just like, I don't know, he's just like an old guy, and then the other one is like a little baby. They're seemingly very different people. Then they take these people and they take the satellite and they take it to their little secret laboratory in Nevada, and they start experimenting and try to figure out what the heck is going on. And so a lot of it is about like, how do these two people, what is special about these two people that allow them to survive, and how are they similar? Like, because that's what they think is like in order for them to have survived, they have to have the same character, like something in common, right? So they're trying to figure that out. They're doing all these experiments, and yeah, so they do eventually figure out like little things along the way, and that's what's really cool about this book too. Is like all the science stuff is like it's done in a way like it's very technical and dry sometimes, but it's done in a way that like Michael Crichton's able to put it in layman's terms that are easy to understand, and he does it in a way that makes like the story move along in an engaging way. Like you really want to know like what happens next and what the implications of this most recent discovery are, and what will the next thing mean, and like all these different layers of stuff. It's really cool in that way. I really enjoyed it, at least. So yeah, so that's basically what's going on. Also, in this underground lab that they're in, it's very high security, super, classified government facility. So it's equipped with a self-destruct mechanism that if any of the seals on the lab fail or anything like that, and there's possible like contamination, it locks down, and there's like a nuke inside, and it blows it up and kills everyone inside. It destroys the entire facility. So that's there. And there's one like fail safe. There's one of the guys who has a key and is able to turn it off. If once the self-destruct initiates, he's got 3 minutes to turn it off or it'll explode. So anyway, that comes into play, towards the end. So they figure out that, this disease or whatever, they figure out how it kills people. They figure out what it's doing in the body, like physically what's happening. And then they figure out like why these two people were able to survive. And it has to do with the blood pH. There's like a really narrow range of pH level that your blood has to be for this disease to be able to like multiply and survive inside your body. So this old guy, he was like drinking Sterno and eating a bottle of aspirin every day. So his blood was like super acidic, and so that's why it couldn't kill him, because he was like, it's amazing that he was alive. With everything that he was doing. He also had like an ulcer and stuff. He was not in good health. And then this the baby, the way it survived was its blood was like very alkaline, because I guess it had been like screaming and crying a lot or something. I don't quite understand how that works. Because I'm not a doctor. I'm just going to take Michael Crichton's word for it that is something that could happen. So anyway, they were both outside this like narrow range, and that's why they survived and everyone else got killed. So once they figure that out, they're like, okay, cool. At least now we know the mechanism by which we could maybe create a cure or something, or prevent people from getting it at least. And what they're concerned about is that it's an airborne disease, and that it will rise into the atmosphere over Piedmont, and then the wind will blow it around, and it will blow over to like a population center like LA or Denver or Las Vegas or some highly populated area, and then it'll kill everybody at that point. So that's what they're concerned about. So that's the urgency piece. They want to figure out how to solve this before that happens. Anyway, the virus mutates and starts to degrade the like rubber gaskets in the lab that like seal off the different sections of the lab, and so once that happens, once the gaskets fail, it locks down, because it was part of the lockdown mechanism. If it gets out, if the gaskets fail and there's possible contamination, it locks down. So then the big climax at the end is like this guy, the guy Hall with the key, is like trying to get to the control panel so that he can like put his key in and turn off the self-destruct, because they know what to do. They know how to like solve it now, so they don't want to like blow up and whatever. So there's this whole thing. He has to crawl through this like tunnel or whatever that's like and he's all drugged up because they like shot him with tranquilizer darts. The security system did and stuff. So he's like, he barely makes it. It's like very suspenseful. But he does make it. He turns off the self-destruct, and they all, whatever, they get out. And then, the ending, the actual ending. So this cloud of this virus goes over LA, but it turns out that it mutated again into a benign form that doesn't affect humans, or really, it doesn't really do anything. It just is in the atmosphere, and then it floats away, and they're like, oh yeah, it'll probably just keep floating away until it's in our upper atmosphere again, and that's that. Which I thought was lame. It was very anticlimactic. The fact that the virus, the threat, just solved itself was kind of, I don't know, it was just kind of, I felt like it was a waste of time, the whole book. I mean, it was, like I said, it was cool, the whole procedure piece of it, and I was engaged the whole time, but then the end, I was just like, really? That's how you end this book? There wasn't any, spread of the disease beyond that first little town. There wasn't anything like that where they were having to, try to curtail it to keep it from, spreading. So I thought the ending was kind of boring and lame. And very anticlimactic. But overall, I did really enjoy the book, and I do recommend it for Crichton fans and for people who like technical science fiction. So yeah, give it a whirl. Let me know if you've read the book in the comments, and if you have any other thoughts or whatever around it, and we can discuss. Please like and subscribe if you like things like this. I'm going to continue to do book reviews and other, videos, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.